In our first video, we looked at UW Library Search, which is this search box on the UW Library's homepage that is the catalog of materials that the library holds. Unfortunately, we do not have the resources nor the space to own everything that is published, so we have to look for literature or scholarly articles in other databases as well. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit to this section called Start Your Research Online. And if you know the name of the database you want to use, you can connect to it through the Articles and Research Databases list. So that's this link right here. I'm going to click on Articles and Research Databases, and you'll see that it's an alphabetical list from A to Z of all of the databases, which are more than I can count, that the UW Library subscribes to. And there are also some free resources in this list as well, like Google Scholar. The ones that are library subscriptions will stand out to you because they have this little padlock icon there. And what that icon signifies is that these resources can only be used from off campus by UW students, faculty, and staff. So many of us are working remotely away from campus. And so if we need to do research in a database that has this padlock icon that's UW restricted, we'll either need to enter our UW NetID and password, or if you're connecting through Husky OnNet, or you happen to download the Proxy Bookmarklet plugin to your browser, then you'll enter your UW NetID once, and you'll be good to go with accessing these library restricted databases. Now, you might be wondering, since there are more databases here than I can count, how in the world do you identify the databases that are relevant for your literature review that you're conducting? Well, I recommend that we actually go back to the library's homepage. And here under Research Help, I'm going to click on Research Guides. Now, these research guides are created and maintained by the subject librarian experts for the different academic disciplines that are taught about and researched on campus. So there are many research guides here, and they all have unique databases that are relevant to the subjects that you see. So it's possible that depending on the topic of your research and the literature review that you need to conduct, you may find that you need to visit multiple research guides in order to make sure that you're doing a comprehensive literature review. So if your topic overlaps with maybe business or computer science, maybe psychology or sociology, engineering, all of these different guides would have relevant databases for the topic area of the class, and which ones you use will really depend on your specific research topic. So I'm going to go into the communication link here and click on Communication Studies. That's the guide specific to our academic discipline and the department that offers the class that you're taking. And when you visit these research guides, you'll see that they all have a similar layout. They have these links on the left, starting points in the middle, and then over here on the right, there is the entries for the subject librarian or librarians responsible for that subject. So there you see me, and there's a link to my email address. You can use that to send questions to me. You can also schedule an appointment to meet with me. If you click on this scheduler, it will show you the different days that I'm available and the times that I'm available, and you can just make those selections, and then we can meet over Zoom or talk on the telephone if you prefer that method, and I can help you with your research. If you don't see any times there that look good to you, then you can email me and we can try to find a time on an evening or a weekend that works for you. And then you can also check Madeline's schedule because she is perfectly willing and capable of helping you with your research as well. So you have lots of ways to get help from us. Now, communication as a discipline is multidisciplinary. There are a lot of different topic areas that fall within the field of communication. And you can see some of those here on communication by topic. Sorry about that. My phone was ringing. So communication includes such topic areas as argumentation and debate and rhetoric, journalism, political communication, social media, traditional broadcast, radio and television media, lots of different topic areas here. And if you want to look for literature in those different topic areas, you have a variety of places that you can look. And what we're going to focus on in this video is the one called communication source. So this is what we call a subject-specific database. It includes scholarly journals, magazines, and trade publications within the field of communication that cover all of those different topic areas that we just talked about that are related to communication studies. So I'm going to go into communication source, and you'll see that it's from this company called EBSCO, and EBSCO sells many databases for many different subject areas. So if we wanted to search more than one right now, we could click choose databases, see the list of databases they offer, make some other selections, click OK, and search multiple databases at one time. Now, I'm not going to do that because I want us to see what kind of communication literature we can find. So we're going to just focus on communication source for the moment. So what we'll do is we are going to enter our search terms. And again, I like to start out broad with my research because there's nothing more frustrating than getting 0 hits in a library database and not knowing why. It's like, which of my subject terms broke my search? So I like to start out kind of broad. So I'm going to do video games and well-being here and click search and see what we get. So we got 1,237 items. So that's a lot to go through, more than we want to go through. So we can do a few different things here. First of all, I noticed right away that I'm getting some periodicals. So there are magazine and trade publication items in my search results. And I'm just doing a review of the scholarly literature. So I'm going to click over here under source types, academic journals, and that's going to narrow it down a bit. Now I have 943 items. It's still a lot to look through, but I'm going to see what sort of articles I'm getting. So this one, re-examining the experiential advantage in consumption. Okay, so this is a meta-analysis and review, but it doesn't really seem to cover my topic area of video games and well-being. I'm going to go down here. I don't really see anything highlighted there. I'm seeing well-being, but it doesn't seem to be directly about video games. So I'm going to keep going. This one doesn't look so great either. And the reason why these are coming up is because probably within the article themselves, they mention video games maybe one time, or they cite a source that's about video games. But these articles just are not relevant to my topic, which is video games and do they have a positive effect on well-being? So here's one, enabled players the value of accessible digital games. So that's interesting. This one is about players with disabilities and the value of their being able to play games that are accessible to them depending on their disability. That is a really interesting part of my research that I hadn't thought about. And that would be a way to narrow down and not do such a really broad topic like just video games and well-being, but perhaps I'd want to focus on this user population of video games. So that's interesting. I'm going to keep that in mind. All right, this one's about refugee children. So I'm just seeing a lot of things here, but they're not really about what I'm researching. And I don't want to spend any more time with this because I'm not really seeing what I need. So remember in our other video, we talked about how authors can choose keywords or subject terms that describe their articles. So video games we saw in UW Library Search as a subject term. We also saw it in some of the articles and the tags that Professor Pierce put in the Google Sheet for well-being resources. So I'm actually going to narrow my search down and make it more focused by, instead of searching for the word video games in everything listed here, so the title of the articles and the abstracts and the subjects and the articles themselves, I'm going to change this drop down to just be subject terms. So now when I click search, I am only going to get articles that list the word video games right here in these subject headings. So I'm going to click search, and I expect that this is going to really focus my results. And sure enough, I'm down to 129 items. It's still probably more than I want to look through, but it's way better than the 900 and something that we had before. So here's the one about accessible digital games that we saw before. Here's something else that looks okay. Let's keep going. Queer walking simulators. So that's another really focused article, which many of the empirical studies that you find are very focused on a particular age group or a particular user group, a particular demographic. So we'll just keep looking and see. Oh, this particular one is focused on an actual game. So that might be interesting if I'm looking at Pokemon Go. And this is what I like to do. I just like to scroll through and see if I'm getting anything that might be interesting to me. And these might be helpful, but nothing's really standing out to me. So I think I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to change my search. So what I might want to do is narrow my concept down a little bit by perhaps saying, okay, do video games have a positive impact on friendships? So I'm going to put the word friend in here with the asterisks. And so what this does is it's going to search for results that have video games in the subjects, well-being, and friend with the asterisks at the end tells the database to search for any ending to this word friend. So it's going to search for articles that list friend, friends, and friendship and friendships. So let's do this and let's just see what happens. Now we're down to 65. So we're still getting that accessible digital games. So that keeps matching a lot of what we're doing. There's Pokemon Go again. That probably talks about that. Computer game fan communities, community management, and structure of membership. That might be too logistical to being in a game community than what I'm looking for. Here's one, a sense of belonging, that Pokemon one, Pokemon Go and social connectedness. So if I wasn't worried about which genre of video games I'm researching, I might click on this one. And I can see more about the article here. So I can read the full abstract. I can see all of the subject terms and the author supplied subject terms that are here. It's possible that I might think social connectedness is something that I want to investigate. So I could copy that and paste it back up in here. I could add a little field, a search field here, and put that new concept there and do that search. I can read the article here. I can also listen to it if that's easier for me to comprehend what an article says rather than reading it myself, as I can listen to it. And then I can also download the PDF. So there's quite a few options here for ingesting the content of the article. Over here on the right, there's some other tools where you can download the article, you can save it, you can ask the database to cite it for you in APA style. I'll just warn you that sometimes EBSCO makes mistakes. So you want to have a basic understanding of what the citation should look like, and then you can copy and paste it and it will give you the elements of the citation you need, but you'll want to make sure that everything's showing up in the correct order. And then here's that permalink again. So you definitely want that permalink, or it's also here in the citation, because remember, these URLs here, they're generated by the database based on the search you did. And so as soon as we close this browser window, that URL will no longer exist and get us back to the article. So we want to use the permalink or this link here to get us back to this exact article if we don't want to save it to our machine. So we added the word friend, which is interesting and gets us to well-being and perhaps friendships. Now let's just try a different concept. We might try putting in an actual video game. So we saw one about Pokemon. Fortnite is the game my kids are completely into and obsessed with. And like I said, I struggle to find a reason why it's helpful to them and improves their well-being. So I just did Fortnite just to see what might happen, and no results were found. So I'm not surprised because Fortnite hasn't been around that long. I think it was developed and released in 2017 for the first time. And it takes a long time for scholarly literature to be researched, written, and published. A lot of scholarly journal articles only come out 2 or 4 times a year. So it takes a year or more for not only topics to become popular and scholars to think, this Fortnite thing is really going somewhere, maybe we should research about it. And then it takes time for them to conduct that research, to find a journal that will publish their article, and also for it to get into the library databases for us to have access to. So I'm not surprised there wasn't one for Fortnite. So what might I do? Let's see. I'm thinking about the genres that I saw in the Wikipedia entry for video games, and it's a first-person shooter game. So I could put in first-person shooter, but that's a lot of words for the database to match. And so I'm going to just put in shooter because that's within first-person shooter phrase. And so I will get to those if I just put in the word shooter here. So I'm going to put that here. Video games, well-being, and shooter, and I found 36 things. So while I might not find something on Fortnite, which is the one I'm particularly interested in because I have a personal connection with it, I can find other articles that talk about the effects of shooter games on well-being or negative effects, so either positive or negative effects. And then I can use the analysis and the research results that they founded to inform the research that I do. So you may not find articles exactly on what you're doing, which is actually a good thing because you want to contribute to the scholarship of the technology that you've chosen to look into. So you don't want to repeat research that's already been done. You want to build upon the research that's been done and release new data or new ideas. So this is one way to help you do that. Okay, I think that is pretty good for this particular database. Let's see. Let's say we're not really interested. Wow. My husband's really trying to get a hold of me. Okay, sorry about that. Let's try one other thing because well-being is one of those words that authors can write in many different ways. So it can be written with a space between well and being. It can also be written, and you're seeing here that I tried it earlier, with a hyphen between them or almost together in one word. So I just wanted you to see this other connector that library databases use, which is called OR. So remember, the and tells the database we want to see all of these terms in our search results. And the OR actually does the opposite. It says, we'll take any of these terms, well-being with the space between it, or well-being almost together, or well-being. Any of those are fine with us. We're not sure which of those versions of the word the authors are using. And I've seen it listed in multiple ways. So we're going to try searching for all of them just to make sure we've done a comprehensive search. Also remember that those quotation marks around the two words, they tell the database to search for that exact phrase. So it's searching for well-being in that exact order with well first, space, being right after it. So let's just see. I'm curious if this is going to change our search at all. And actually, it took it down, which is very interesting. Usually I would have expected that to give us more results, but it took it down to 26. So I don't really have an explanation for that. I don't know why it did that. But I guess it should have done the opposite. I don't have a reason why, but we would want to go through these results and see if there's anything applicable to our research. So friends and console gaming, let's mute that. That's what we should do. Okay, I am sorry about the interruptions. Friends and console gaming aggression, the role of friendship, quality, anger, and revenge planning. Wow, that sounds interesting. That is in a journal called Games and Culture from September 2019. I think this is one that I would want to look at. So I think I would definitely do that. Now, let's say that 26 is too few and you wanted to see if there are any more. We could also see if there are other words that authors are using instead of well-being. I mean, that's a fairly recent concept. So let's say perhaps we also want to see, okay, positive effect. I've seen that used in scholarly research before. Do video games have a positive effect on people, on gamers or on players? So I'm going to add or positive effect here and see if the database will actually do what I expect it to do. And sure enough, it went up. We got more results because some article authors use well-being and some authors mention positivity or positive effects. And so again, we can go through these and we can see if any of these are related to our or relevant to our research. And then we can help those to inform our projects. So that was the communication source database. And I hope that you find some really good articles in it. And if you run into any trouble searching it, please just contact me or Madeline, and we're happy to help.